local breaking news. You're watching News Channel 3, live at 6.
No problem.
This is the Kalamazoo Police. This gathering is contrary to city ordinance. Your 10 minutes have long expired and you now face arrest.
Good evening, I'm Callie Rainey. Thanks for joining us tonight as our city is on edge. Protests turned violent this afternoon when alt-right groups came face-to-face with opposing groups. Some members at the opposite ends of the spectrum both came out into downtown Kalamazoo toting guns. We have live team coverage this evening to break down today's events. News Channel 3's Genevieve Grippo is live outside Kalamazoo Public Safety to tell us what police are saying about their response, which included pepper spraying protesters. But first, we start with News Channel 3's Trisha McCauley. She's joining us live from Arcadia Creek Festival Place in Kalamazoo, where two opposing protests clashed this afternoon. Trisha, you were in the middle of the crowd when violence erupted. Tell us what you saw.
Well, Callie, things between the Proud Boys group and counter-protesters turned violent very quickly. The initial clash was less than 10 minutes tops, and in that time, multiple fights broke out, some even using street signs as weapons. An ambulance did come out to the scene, and I saw multiple people walking around injured. Just take a look at today's scene. That was at times tense and scary. This is the scene of the Proud Boys group and counter-protesters meeting for the first time in downtown Kalamazoo. Both groups shouting back and forth, protesters saying you're not welcomed here. The Proud Boys group chanting 4 more years at the crowd. Halfway down Water Street, things turned violent. Multiple fights broke out, bottles thrown, pepper spray deployed, and even street signs used as weapons. Multiple people walking away from the scene bloody. The confrontation continues as the Proud Boys turn down Edwards Street. The crowd grows, and that's when we got word that police officers were on the way. Counter-protester Noelle Massey tells us what she experienced.
It turned violent immediately. They attacked individuals that were yelling that they did not have a place here. They were not welcome here. There was a man knocked unconscious. His face was bleeding. I was just pepper sprayed down there by a member of the group, trying to keep the peace and stand in between. The clash lasted less than 10 minutes. Kalamazoo Police showing up about 7 minutes into the violence. Officers seen here walking in a straight line down Water Street. Michigan State Police also on scene, blocking off Arcadia Park, telling everyone to clear the area or they faced being arrested. I was at the scene earlier today where multiple groups were gathering here at Arcadia Creek Festival site opposing the Proud Boys group. They wanted to let them know that they were not welcomed here. I did see multiple police cars surrounding the park on about every corner, but when things turned violent, police were not able to respond right away. Reporting live in downtown Kalamazoo, Trisha McCauley, News Channel 3.
All right, thanks, Trisha. Well, here's a look at cell phone video showing dozens of members of the Proud Boys group marching down Michigan Avenue this afternoon. You can see a lot of them carrying American flags as they walk through downtown Kalamazoo. The Southern Poverty Law Center lists the Proud Boys as a hate group. You can see in the video a few people are trailing the group. You can even see a couple people carrying long pieces of wood in this video as they yell at the group ahead of them to get out of Kalamazoo. Now we want to show you what the protest looked like before the violence started. People armed with guns and walkie-talkies stood at the entrances to Arcadia Creek Festival Place today. Some members of both opposing sides brought guns to what was supposed to be a unity rally. We first told you earlier this week that social media posts showed the Proud Boys plan to rally in Kalamazoo today. So then the First Congregational Church filed papers with the city to reserve the Arcadia Creek Festival site all day today. According to social media, it was the same time the Proud Boys planned to rally. You can see in the video here police clearing the festival site. This was the second time they had to do that. When officers in riot gear first cleared everyone out, tensions escalated. The church planned to have speakers and prayers, but that never happened today. And after police first cleared Arcadia Creek Festival Place, our crew saw a long line of Michigan State Police troopers lining a downtown Kalamazoo street. This morning, we saw at least 24 MSP troopers parked at the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. Earlier, city officials told us KDPS would be monitoring the protest and counter-protest and would be prepared to act quickly. News Channel 3's Genevieve Grippo is joining us now live from Kalamazoo Police Headquarters. Genevieve, tell us how the department says it's going to keep the peace after a day of unrest.
Callie, Assistant Chief of Operations Vernon Coakley tells me that he believes the Proud Boys came here looking for a fight. He says now that they got it, he does not think that they're going to be back later this evening. Now, I do want to mention we do still have a few of those MSP trooper cars here at the police headquarters. Coakley says the department was aware of today's gathering and was prepared to respond in force. Before the fight broke out, dozens of Michigan State Police cruisers remained ready here outside of KDPS headquarters. Coakley says police crews went in with a strategy not to engage with protesters until things got violent. He says when the fight started, officers created a police line and used mace to disperse the crowd. He says there were multiple injuries and arrests, but does not at this time know how many. Coakley says today police used lessons they learned when responding to protests over the last few months.
I'm expected to be just as we look. Look at the park, peaceful. That's what I'm expecting for the rest of the day.
Some people are criticizing police today for their reaction, saying that they don't believe police did enough to protect the city, and that has prompted a second protest planned for tonight here at police headquarters at 7:30 p.m. Reporting live in Kalamazoo, Genevieve Grippo, News Channel 3.
All right, thanks, Genevieve. Well, our cameras did capture police using pepper spray. One of the protesters sprayed later, pinned to the ground and detained. You can see police hold the man on the ground before putting him into a KDPS cruiser. We've also seen video on social media of police arresting a journalist who works for local media. When we talked to police, they were not able to provide us with any additional information. And we have been following the story from the very beginning. We have pictures, video from our crews, and cell phone video from some of you. To see a gallery of some of it, just head to our website, WWMT.com, or you can check it out on our free News Channel 3 mobile app. All right, turning to the weather now. You're looking live over downtown Kalamazoo with our Peregrine Tower camera. Meteorologist Will Haney joins us live from his living room where he is tracking some showers. Hey, Will.
Yeah, hey there, Callie. Now, while we were removed from the severe weather risk just a few hours ago, we're still dealing with some storms today, and some of them produce some hail and gusty winds just a little bit below severe grade. Now, if you're curious, you need 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail to produce what is deemed a severe storm. Now, live Doppler radar, again, that's not to say it's been necessarily quiet for all of us. At times, it might have looked in your location like it was going to rain, and maybe you were underneath one of these showers. They were producing some efficient rainfall in Kent County, now into Ionia County, and then as we look there in southern Eaton County, about to cross over Interstate 69, and even in the Comstock area, there was one report of inch in diameter hail at about 410. That was right near the Sprinkle and 94 interchange. So we look a little bit farther south as well. Sturgis, for example, just got in on a shower and one storm pushing out of cold water. These weren't too strong, but they did produce some lightning and thunder and some really efficient rain. As I mentioned, that shower that was over kind of the Sprinkle and I-94 interchange and then just south of Galesburg produced, it looks like on radar, in the Cooks Mill and Scotts area, over an inch, possibly over 2 inches of rainfall. So some lucky farmers there. Your evening fastcast, though, these showers and storms, at least this initial wave, dies down with the daytime heating and as we lose the sunlight. But then another round expected late tonight. We're going to be talking about that and the impacts for your Sunday in just a few minutes.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Will. Well, school starts in just a few weeks for most schools. The state Senate approved a package of bills focused on the return to school in the state. Today's session came just hours after state leaders announced they had reached an agreement after months of contention. News Channel 3's Andrew Feather was in Lansing today, and he tells us what this could mean for students here in Michigan.
Saturday sessions are exceedingly rare here in Lansing, but legislative leaders say it's that important to get the bills on the governor's desk as quickly as possible. Now, the legislation has received support from teachers' unions in the state, but some administrators say it will cause unnecessary headaches. Just hours after Republican and Democratic leaders announced an agreement on a return-to-learn plan, the state Senate passed the package of bills. Under the plan, school boards will be required to review their reopening plans monthly. Also, while in-person education for K-5 students is recommended, the deal doesn't tie in-person education to school funding, which was included in a House-passed version of the package. Also, while in-person education for K-5 students is recommended, the deal doesn't tie in-person education to school funding, which was included in a House-passed version of the package. A mandate requiring students to wear masks isn't in the plan, nor is state funding for schools. In a statement, Republican Lana Tice, chair of the Senate Education and Career Readiness Committee, said, quote, entrusting local education leaders with the flexibility to make more and better decisions will increase opportunities for educational enrichment and help improve student achievement.
Online saves lives.
Outside the Capitol building, about 100 socially distanced protesters gathered, urging state leaders to require a remote start to the school year, among other safety measures. There, 1,200 pencils were placed into the ground. They represent the number of students and educators protesters estimate will die from COVID-19 if in-person classes resume in the fall. Detroit teacher Nina Chacker was among the protesters. She says the agreement is progress over previous plans, but doesn't go far enough.
It's a step in the right direction. I think we just need to keep going. We're not there yet. So we can say sure, we'll take it. We can also say we're not there yet.
Still, education unions in Michigan came out in support of the agreement. The Michigan Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers sent out a joint statement supporting the package. It says that legislative compromises are never perfect, but that the bills provide students, parents, educators, and districts both certainty and flexibility. The Michigan House of Representatives is set to convene Monday morning, where they're expected to approve the back-to-school plan. State leaders say they hope to have the bill signed by Governor Whitmer by the end of the week. In Lansing, I'm Andrew Feather.
Protests in West Michigan turned to unrest and violence. Why people are saying police response just was not enough.